Welcome to the ANEW Insight podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogram Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. I follow my guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Welcome back to the ANEW Insight podcast. We are back for the second half of our interview with integrative nutrition coach and sparking wholeness podcaster, Erin Kerry. Erin gave us some invaluable insight into her path to leave teaching and pursue nutritional coaching. I cannot wait to pick her brain some more. Erin, welcome back.
Thanks.
So I really want to talk about the connection between gut health and mental well-being and why you make that such a focus in your coaching.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest reason I make it a focus is because I had no idea what it was. Nobody ever told me that my gut and brain had anything to do with each other. And as I mentioned in part one, I experienced pretty significant trauma when I was a young girl. And I didn't realize until a few years ago, even, I was looking through some old journals that I kept at that time, the year after that I watched my grandfather pass away in our front yard. I was having chronic stomach issues. And this was something that even for me as an adult, I'm like, I don't remember my stomach hurting all the time, but I would write in my journal, my stomach is hurting again today. My stomach is hurting again today. I went to the doctor. We don't know. It was that kind of back and forth type of dynamic that I don't remember, but it's in my journal. So there was definitely a clear connection. Nobody told me about it. I didn't find out about it until probably this would have been 2013. So 12 years ago, 2013, 2014, that I learned that the gut and brain are connected via the vagus nerve. And vagus is spelled V-A-G-U-S. And what I always say is what happens in the vagus nerve does not stay in the vagus nerve, because your vagus nerve is connected from the base of your skull all the way down. It really attaches to every little organ along the way. It looks like a little alien in your body, but it is an incredible communication signal that helps to essentially tell your body when you need to fight, flight, freeze, right? Or when you need to rest and digest. And that communication is going on all the time. And the other thing that I didn't know is that most of that communication doesn't run from your brain to your gut, but it runs from your gut to your brain. So our neurotransmitters, like serotonin, over 90% of them are produced in the gut microbiome. And microbiome is a word that we use a lot, just as if, I think a lot of times we use it as if everybody knows what it is, in case you really are like, well, wait, what is the microbiome? It's the ecosystem of bacteria that live in the digestive tract. We are essentially more bacterial cell than human cells in some ways, because we are just made up of so much bacteria, and that bacteria signals to everywhere, right? And so that bacteria in the gut is helping to synthesize neurotransmitters based on what food you're receiving or not receiving. And so if you're receiving, like we talked about before, a lot of nutrient dense foods like your leafy greens and your vegetables and your good healthy fats and your good quality matters of animal protein, if you're getting those things, then your gut is going to be able to synthesize the nutrients that you need to build neurotransmitters. And then that bacteria is going to be able to communicate with the brain and help to produce things like, I said, serotonin, but dopamine. Acetylcholine is a really important neurotransmitter that regulates the vagus nerve. But I had no idea. Nobody told me that these things were connected. Even when I was put on an SSRI, which is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, nobody told me that it was just reuptaking the serotonin that I already had in my body. I wish somebody had been like, hey, are you even making serotonin? Is serotonin even being made from tryptophan? Are you getting tryptophan from protein and plants? Because if you're not, if the gut has enough going on that's, I would say, irritable, right? Like IBS is kind of that catch-all phrase, but if the gut is not digesting well, if there are some issues there, whether in your bathroom habits, then there's a really good chance that you might not be producing all those cofactors to make the serotonin. And that would have been a really great puzzle piece for me to learn, but that wasn't talked about. And so I do focus on gut health because, as Hippocrates said many years ago, thousands of years ago, disease starts in the gut. So, whether it is something like depression or even bipolar disorder to an extent, or something like diabetes or autoimmune disease, for sure, is a big one that starts in the gut. We have a lot of factors that are influenced by what is happening in that ecosystem in our gut.
Yes, I think that there's such a disconnect. I think people don't really truly realize just how much nutrition affects not only your physical health. I think people kind of understand
Mm.
that, but there seems to be a disconnect there that you kind of can eat whatever you want as long as you're like, staying in a calorie deficit and
Right, right.
exercising a ton. It's just not true. It really depends on what you're eating and the quality of food
Mhm.
that you're eating.
Yep.
And that will determine your gut biome. And if
Mhm.
you're eating standard American diet, your gut biome looks very, very different than, say,
Yep.
someone who may be on like a whole food, plant based, or plant
Mhm.
forward diet.
Mhm.
And so it's vital to get this information out. And why do you think? I think that gut microbiome hadn't been a part of our vernacular until the last 10 to 15 years. But
Yeah.
why do you think that that's so?
That's a really good question. I think when it comes to the nutritional impact, I think we spent a lot of time focusing on what people shouldn't eat so that they can be smaller, so that they could lose weight. And there wasn't enough focus on what to eat to live, right? To function, to have high quality of life. And you talked about, you kind of touched on that whole calories in, calories out. I am such a product of diet culture. I mean, I thought the only time you eat what I would say, I put this in air quotes always, if you're not watching, to eat healthy food, to eat nutrient dense food, it had to be boring and it had to be because you were on a diet, because you're in deprivation mode. Well, that's a whole mindset issue, right? So then I'm essentially telling my body, well, this natural whole food source is a food that it doesn't even taste good. There's nothing good about it. And so it just impacts even the digestion when I eat, right? I have a phrase I love to say that's a body in stress won't digest. And if we are stressed out about what we're eating, whether it's because we think it's going to be bad for us, right? Or if we think it's just going to be tasteless because it's quote healthy and we don't like healthy food, I mean, that's going to impact how our food is digested. And so I think going back to even your question, I don't even think we've thought about how food could be an instrument for healing ever. Like, I just don't know if that was in the narrative, not until the 2000s. And I really paid a lot of attention to nutrition trends and dieting trends, especially in the 90s, because I wanted to lose weight, right? I gained weight on Zoloft. I wanted to get it off. And so I was constantly on this quest to put myself back in that smaller body that I had before, thinking, of course, if I could get to this size or this weight, I'd be happy. And that was never the case. Even if I did it based on a crash diet that usually created some drastic consequences to my mental health. But it just wasn't part of the conversation until now. We're finally going, wait, the way you eat can be therapeutic. And I think that that's a word that we don't associate with eating. I love thinking about food as therapeutic, food as even a somatic practice. When we think about somatic therapy being kind of a buzzword in therapy right now, right? Like somatic being of the body. Lots of people are doing EMDR or any of these emotional processing, visualization, all these things that connect the brain and body. Well, food does that. When you are receiving food that is nutrient dense, that tastes good, that's colorful, it is a sensory experience and it's somatic therapy. And so food really, I think, should be therapeutic, but we just for forever it was like, well, what can I eat to be the size I want to be, to lose the pounds? And
It still
oh,
is. It
drives
still
me
is.
nuts.
And if you look just at the current diet trends of the last 10 years, it's high
Yep.
protein, low to no carb. And
Yep.
if we look at that from a mental health perspective, you are depriving your body of its main fuel source.
Yeah.
The brain functions, thrives on carbohydrates, on
Mhm.
glucose. And when we don't get enough of them, and this is where I think the disconnect is vast, in my opinion, is that when you go on these high protein, low carb diets, you get foggy brained, you get
Mhm.
anxious, you get depressed, you
Yep.
start to crave carbohydrates to the point where
Mhm.
sometimes you need a cheat day. And I really
I
hate
know.
that word so much,
Yep.
the phrase so much. or you can't handle the diet and you go off and then you usually will binge on what you
Yep.
were craving. People, if we just could understand nutrition, and I think that it's very confusing out there because what you see in the media and what you see just promoted, especially in social media,
Mhm.
are a lot of fallacies. They may help you lose weight for like the time that you're on the diet, but you're really
Yeah.
going to be losing water and you're going to be losing
Mhm.
muscle and you're not going to be losing fat because the body is
Yep.
stressed out. It doesn't like what you're doing. It doesn't like to starve. And it will hold on to the one thing that you're trying to
Mhm.
lose, which is fat.
Yeah.
So I am on board with you all the way that we really need to promote education from actual science rather than
Mhm.
pseudoscience so
Yeah.
that people can really experience the benefits. And when you allow yourself the amount of carbohydrates, which it really should be about 60 to 70% of your diet, if not more, you can really experience a lot of the mental health and physical health
Mhm.
benefits that come from that. So, yes, I love this. And you touched on body image. I really
Mm.
want to talk about body image and the work that you do with your clients. And what, you've struggled, you were dieting yourself. I dieted myself as well. How do you help people reformulate
Yeah.
their own concept of their body image?
Mhm. Oh, I love talking about this because as women, we war with our bodies from as far back as we can remember, most of us. Like, I often will ask my clients, do you remember a time when a female, an older adult female, grandparent figure, whatever, said anything positive about the female body? No, no. From as far back as I can remember, it was like, well, there's periods, there's menstrual migraines, you're going to bleed all over yourself and have cramps, and it's terrible. And then you're going to get boobs. And then like, it's just, and it just made it sound, and there's part of me, it's like, yeah, I want to grow up fast. This will be great. Being a woman, it sounds really cool to fit into clothes in a different way. But then when things don't, you find out you didn't develop the way your friend developed, right? Or you don't look like this person. And then the comparison game and the magazines. Oh, I was obsessed with People Style Watch and all the fitness magazines and all the regular magazines. But image was really important to me. And so I found that most of my clients in the similar, really, you can't avoid the comparison game when it comes to the female body, right? Like and so many from age, I'd say teenage years. I have clients who are in their teens all the way up to 70s and even 80s. There is a war with their own body, whether it's because of the size that they're in. And that could be they think they're too small and they don't have muscle, or they think they're too big and they don't have muscle's kind of a hot topic right now, too, as you're saying, like the protein thing. Everybody's talking about building muscle, but then that becomes just one more thing for women that we have to achieve, right? And
Mhm.
so there are
And
all
there's
these
a lot of falsehoods when it comes to protein consumption. So it's
gosh,
like,
I know.
ah,
There's a lot. And there are women that are struggling with their bodies just because they're struggling with these mystery symptoms or autoimmunity. And so as women, unfortunately, and I say this, it's just even just heavy saying it, like we just have I don't want to say wasted again. That's a negative connotation word. I want to be careful with words. Words matter. But I think we've spent a lot of time on chasing a number on the scale, or chasing a size, or chasing a look, whatever that look is. And even when we get to that place, there's always something else, right? There's always, so at the end of the day, I really love working with people on how can you partner with the unique body that you've been given to live out your purpose, because that's what we're here for. We all have purpose. We have a body to be the instrument of that purpose. And reframing what that looks like, then that trickles down all the way to nutrition, to sleep practices, to relaxation, to movement, to if I can think about creating an environment for nurture, creating an environment for healing, creating an environment where this is I've got one body. This is my friend. Maybe my body didn't come in the shape or size that I wanted, but this is my vessel to live out my purpose. And that's different. Nobody really talked about that when we were little. And I think there's a lot of women there are parts of them, those little girl parts that are just aching for somebody to tell them, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Right. So that's kind of the starting point. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but just
Yes,
the
I
partnership.
love your body is a vessel
Yeah.
as opposed to an ornament, as
Yes.
opposed to something to catch the male gaze or whoever's gaze you want to catch. Your body is a complex network of
Mhm.
cells and fibers and muscles, and all of this is designed to propel you forward to do what you want to do
Yep.
and what you were born to do, put here on
Mhm.
earth to do. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a really powerful way to help someone reshape their idea of body image. It takes it away from the complete external and
Mhm.
looking for external validation to actually turning inward and listening to your body and
Yeah.
honoring what your body wants and needs rather than trying to pound a square peg into a round
Mhm.
hole. I
Yep.
love that you do that.
Yeah.
So let's actually talk about integrating the concept of mind, body, and soul.
Mhm.
You don't hear a lot of coaches talking about soul. And
Mhm.
so I want you to give us a picture of. I talk about mind, body, spirit. That's my thing.
Mhm.
That's why we're total kindred spirits
Mhm.
on that. Where does spirituality come into
Yeah.
play in terms of the work that you do with people?
Yeah, for me, it comes from the concept of purpose and believing that we all have one, that we all were designed for a purpose. And I think when we are fighting, and we know it, we know deep down inside when we're fighting against that purpose, there is an imbalance. We sense that imbalance when we're going against what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And there's a lot of noise out there, right? That we can get lost in. And until we can figure out, like, back to your point of that partnership over punishment or trying to beat our bodies into submission, and it's a way to step back and go, wait a minute, what do, at the end of the day, when I am, you know, 75, 80, or at my funeral, even, like, what do I want people to say? Like, oh, she did such a great job maintaining that figure. Right? I mean, that's kind of a cliche topic that I've heard people throw out, but it's true. It's like nobody's going to say that. Like, it's really about how you live what you've been given, your gifts, your abilities, and how you've loved, how you've served, how you've shown up in that body for other people. Like, I think about how our bodies are meant to show people love, right? Like, we are arms that can hug and wrap. I mean, there's that interpersonal energy when you're with other people, and we feel that people who are grounded and who know their purpose, there's a different vibe than people who are still struggling to, like you said, force fit something that's not there. And so, and for me, that comes with my own set of faith and set of values of just realizing that there is something greater than me out there, that, and having honor and respect for that, and realizing that my job is to show love to everybody regardless, but that also is showing love to myself, right? I think that's a big
Yes.
part that we miss. Sometimes we can't really give to others what we haven't been able to give to ourselves.
Yes. Oh, I resonate so much with that. I really do think that the entire purpose of everything and everyone is love.
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to show, give, and receive love?
Yeah.
And how do we connect with people, not just on an external basis, but really on that kind of spiritual
Mhm.
basis? And I think that that's what's drawn you to teaching.
Mhm.
That's what's
Mhm.
drawn you to working with people. That I feel the same call here. It's like as soon as I became a Pilates instructor, that's when I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I think I know what my purpose is. I think I understand now. I am meant to help people.
Yeah.
And that drove this whole journey. And I've never been happier, never been happier
Mhm.
than. And I really think it's so important that people do look beyond that external. You know, I have to have a car and a husband or a wife and this career, and all
Mhm.
these external things that don't necessarily truly matter maybe at the end of your life. If you could be thinking
Right.
about that now, your life would be very different. So this is going to be an interesting question, but how in the age of weight loss medication and
Mm.
quick fixes and all these diets and all this pressure, how do you steer somebody toward that?
Yeah, I struggle with this a lot because I think, especially with what you just said, the weight loss medication, it's really, but it's such a human thing to want a quick fix, to want what we believe to be a quick fix, a solution that's going to be that magical. I even, in my upcoming book, I have a whole chapter that's looking for a magic fix. We just want a magic fix because we think if we can achieve that, then we're good. Then we don't have to struggle. And so I think getting people away from that mentality, it's really looking again at things as a journey. Like this healing process is a journey of little steps that we take over time that can help us to emotionally regulate ourselves, right? Spiritually regulate, nutritionally regulate. There's a lot of regulation that needs to take place so that we can have leftover energy to do the things we need to do without burning ourselves out. And that takes a step-by-step process, day by day, and it's not going to come in a quick fix. I mean, you can take all of the weight loss injections in the world, but if you don't change, I think first that body partnership mindset, if you don't change the pace of life that you're running full speed at, there's not a lot that's going to change at the end, because of course we do know, I mean, unless you're planning on staying on that for the rest of your life, you're going to gain the weight back. That's very clear, but I just, there's so much more to that. And maybe some people need to go that direction first to find out, well, actually, this didn't help me, right? I've been in that place before many times. It's like, well, that thing that I thought that I really wanted, it didn't actually give me what I wanted. And what I have found to be most beneficial for me and for the people I work with is just finding, and that's even where the name of my company and podcast comes from, sparking wholeness, that tiny spark that just sets off a chain reaction that starts a blaze. And maybe it's starting with nutrition. Maybe it's starting with going to bed a little bit earlier. Maybe it's starting with enjoying a nature walk. Oh, I went outside today. It was a beautiful day where I live. And I realized, oh my goodness, this is something I haven't done in weeks. I've been on the hamster wheel a little bit. And I did get sick. We talked a little bit after I'd gotten sick, and I was giving my body some rest time. But today it was just a beautiful day to go walk and go, oh, this is what I needed. So being able to help people figure out, what do you need? What does your body need? What does your brain need? Again, for that regulation of the nervous system, regulation of the whole body. And that takes a process. And that might take some trial and error and trying different things. So it's different for everybody, but people don't want that. They want just give me the one size fits all solution. We're not one size fits all people.
Yes, but I think that once you do start on that path and you really do start to go inward, and I highly recommend meditation for people, as well as everything that you mentioned, you then start to go into that inner journey. And that inner journey is actually really enriching if you're willing to face some darker things, if you're willing to look at the past and really understand how you got to where you are, and then you can map out that direction to go in the future. And you were mentioning your book, so this is a part of it. I really want to hear about, you've got a 2-book deal. We think that's really wonderful. Congratulations. So just tell us about the book that's going to be coming here in September.
So the book the title is, like, we just got the cover design. It's beautiful, and it will probably be released more publicly soon, but the title is Live Beyond Your Label. So it is just this idea that we are given, whether it's self-imposed labels that can limit us, or diagnostic labels that at first were intended to help make sense of our symptoms, right? But then eventually the labels became identifiers that felt more like burdens than things to help. And so that's where that comes from. And it's broken up into 4 parts. And it just comes from kind of an acronym that I follow as a coach, which is LIVE, and L stands for learn to address stress, because of course, stress can be emotional stress, but there's physiological internal stress, like when we talk about the gut microbiome, that plays a role, and it's all tied together. I stands for identify root issues. And so that's looking at things like, do you even know what you're feeling on a day-to-day basis, right? Like I didn't. I stuffed my feelings. I didn't want to feel things. I was worried they were going to get pathologized, right? And it was going to turn into another diagnosis. So learning to identify feelings and dealing with trauma or what are you looking for that magic fix? That would be a root issue, and goes into some other things. V stands for add variety to your diet. So that's where we talk about nutrient density and restoring a healthy relationship with your body and a healthy relationship with food. And then E stands for exercise your body and brain. And so that's more just about emotional regulation, movement practices. I do talk quite a bit about breath work, meditation, because sometimes I do start, you mentioned meditation. That's what I start with people sometimes. It's like, hey, can you take 10 minutes and do like a guided body scan? What would that do for your body? Just to be present in it. Some people can't start there. That's hard. That's really, really hard if you're not comfortable being in a body that you don't like very much. Many of us are over functioning because we're not comfortable in the body that we have, right? And so we do everything we can to stay away from thinking about that. And so that I do start with that for a lot of people, but that's all I've got. Every single chapter in my book has a mind body exercise at the end, which I love because it's all very practical, actionable tools that I've done that have been helpful for me. So whether it's a journaling prompt or it's legs up the wall, think about this, or write a letter to your body, a partnership letter to your body. I've got a lot of fun little activities that I think will be helpful, but it'll be out in September. I'm really excited about it.
I can't wait to read it. You will please tell me when it
I will
comes
let you
out so
know.
I can,
Yes.
and I'm happy to promote it in any way that you want to have it
Yeah.
promoted. I'm so excited for you. Writing a book is a complete journey.
Ooh,
It,
yes.
it is, for me, it's one of the best things I ever did with my time. I'm so happy I did it. And it just really is like your calling card out to the world, and
Yeah.
really sending the message out to as many people as possible. So however I can support you, I am here for you. Please tell people how they can find you and how they will be able to purchase your book.
Yeah, so my website, well, I've got my Sparking Wholeness website, which is my original blog. That's kind of how I got started. And that has a lot of older blog articles it's interesting how things have evolved for me, but it's kind of fun to look on there. I've got Sparking Wholeness is my Instagram handle, also the name of my podcast, Facebook. I think I'm Sparking Wholeness Integrative Nutrition. I do have an author website, erinkerry.com. I don't do much with that. It's more just where I'm going to put the book information when it's out, but then it will be available. I think pre-orders will probably start sometime this spring on Amazon, but then it's going to be everywhere. So I'm excited.
Yay!
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot wait. I think that the world needs to hear this message. And it's just amazing how adversity early in life can be the thing that sparks your
Mhm.
wholeness, and
For
that
sure.
we have to be grateful for every experience that we've had, because
Mhm.
I really firmly believe that this is earth school. We're here
Yeah.
to learn, we're here to
Yes.
grow, we're here to love more and more
Mhm.
as time goes forward. So you are a living example of that, and I am really blessed to know you. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and hopefully we can continue conversations, because you and I really are kindred spirits.
Absolutely. This was so fun to connect with you, and I loved having this conversation. I hope it's really helpful for anybody out there who feels limited by their labels.
Me too. Let's dismantle this labeling thing,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's going to start with you. So, thank you so much, and thank you for tuning into the ANEW Insight podcast. I'm really looking forward to the next guest and the next interview, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning into the ANEW Insight podcast. Please remember, the contents shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anew.insight and at anew-insight.com under the ANEW Insight podcast tab. And follow us on our socials at my.anew.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.